Hello and welcome once again to Talking Pictures Podcast. I'm your host David and joined with me, as always, my co-host Brian. Brian, how are you today?
David, we've only got one opportunity in life.
You only got one shot, one chance.
Do not miss your chance to blow it, David. We released The Fall Guy last week.
Yeah. And why was that significant? Because that was episode 69. And now this week, we're going to be talking about
Episode 70?
episode 70, which is Challengers. One of the films that probably most notably
Should have been 69.
should have been 69. Should have been the one about sex. But there you have it. We didn't think that far ahead, did we? It was only after the fact we go, oh, missed it there.
Someone's getting fired.
Probably Laura. If the music doesn't come through this week, it's because we fired her.
Shocking, David. Shocking.
Before we launch into our discussion about Challengers, you got a trailer of the week for us by any chance?
A few options came out, but I'll pick the one that I think I want to have your opinion on. Mm-hmm. We had a new trailer for The Acolyte released nearly 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So, did you watch it?
I can't remember if I watched it or not. Honestly, I think I did. Yeah, is it where they revealed the new helmet?
Yeah,
yeah. I did watch it. I watched it once, and I said, "Okay, yeah, I'm going to watch it anyway." So I'm not going to watch any more trailers, or not going to watch this again.
Yeah, I watched it once, and I said, "I'm not watching this until all episodes are available because there won't be no more than 20 minutes each, excluding credits."
Mm-hmm. That's a turn off for you.
It's a fed up for me.
You're fed up with it. Yeah,
I'm fed up with it. A show I'm not going to talk about because we just always know we acknowledge and love is The Boys. Mm-hmm. They had a trailer. You just know you're going to get something good with that. Mm-hmm. That's cinema in TV. Mm-hmm. But The Acolyte, what should be somewhat of pop culture cinema, especially the fact that you're going into an era that has not been done in live action in Star Wars. The High Republic. How many years before The Phantom Menace?
100 years.
At least 100 years. We're going to get a young Yoda should be strutting around somewhere.
Young Yoda is still 800 years old. When we meet Yoda, he's 900, you know? So a young Yoda is 800 years old.
And I'm curious to see how this Acolyte show executes its story with a revolving door of characters. Mm-hmm. We've got the lead character from Squid Game. Mm-hmm. We have the young black child from the Hunger Games. Remember her?
Rue, is it?
Rue, in the first Hunger Games. Mm-hmm. She's the Acolyte. Mm-hmm. In her dreadlocks. Yeah. In her catwalk fashion look. Yeah. Carry-On Moss from the Matrix movies.
Daphne Keane from Logan.
Yeah, playing an alien Jedi, which I like. I like seeing a notable actor under a lot of prosthetics. Mm-hmm. Because when you're not a human in a science fiction IP, I think it's just a little bit more interesting because, well, not to say I've watched Star Trek, but did you like Commander Worf in the Next Gen? Mm-hmm. Because he was the only non-human looking crew member on that. I
think a point you're trying to make is it shows that the actor has less of an ego. Because they're fine being hidden behind prosthetics. That they don't need their face to be fully...
Maybe.
You know?
But I think it's more... I feel more like I want to know more about that. Mm-hmm. I want to know more about that character. And then I'm sure there's another few other characters here and there. And Issa Rae, she's a known actress. I think she's in more comedy stuff than anything else. But she voiced Jessica Drew in Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh,
the pregnant one. So, it's just a lot of characters for such a short timed show. And what are their roles? What are they going to do with them? Mm-hmm. I still don't even know what the story is about. So, I just wanted to talk about that. I just wanted to pique your interest to know what you think.
I think it's like you said, the main draw for me is the time period in which it's set in, because it's everything that we've had from Star Wars, whether it be movies or animation or TV shows, have fit between episode 1 and episode 9.
Yeah.
And so this is now
This is the one that goes so far back at least in the sense of live action, that we've not seen yet. Whereas I think the Skeleton Crew will be the one that will be no, it won't be. It's before the sequel trilogy, but the Skeleton Crew feels like it's going to be one that's the furthest out within the post Return of the Jedi, before Force Awakens.
I could see this being the furthest timeline wise, but the Skeleton Crew being the furthest away from the Skywalker story.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to ever intersect with any aspect of the Skywalker story other than maybe the Empire.
So I think the only backup for the Acolyte is just the fact that it's Star Wars, because the trailer didn't really do anything else. So enough on that.
So moving then from Star Wars into our main feature of the episode, we're here to talk about
Sex.
The erotic thriller known as Challengers. This was one of the films I had on my most anticipated.
Yeah, and I won't lie, I thought, really? I know you like Zendaya, but well, for me the trailer didn't do a whole lot. You know, I was drawn to the Ministry of Gentlemanly Warfare. F you. for not releasing it in cinemas in outside markets of the UK, of the US. Sorry, World War II movie based in the UK doesn't get a UK release.
No, you'll be lucky. I think is it on streaming at the moment?
It'll be on Amazon Prime soon enough.
There you go.
I took it off my watch list out of disappointment.
Yeah, it's bad for it. And it's so strange. I know we're getting away from challenges here. It's so strange to have, like you said, a movie set in World War II with high profile actors, Henry Cavill and Alan Richardson, and who's the
Carrie Elwes, Isaac Gonales, Babs, I can't pronounce his surname, but he was in Dune. He was Janice in Dune.
Yeah,
and
I know
Henry Golden.
Like high profile actors,
Brits,
as well as Guy Ritchie, who is a highly regarded English director, and yet they can't get an actual release for this. It's only going to be in America. There's no release elsewhere. It just is like, it's really, really strange. I don't know.
I don't feel the need to really talk about it on a podcast now.
Yeah.
As a result, like, I'll watch it in an afterthought now, on a given afternoon or evening.
But it's not going to be forefront,
But Challengers,
though. I'm glad that you changed your mind then, because you obviously thought, I'm not too hot on it, or not even that you weren't too hot on it, but you wouldn't.
like, I was going to always watch it, but it was never high on my list to anticipate how much I am interested in it. Probably, definitely the most riveting final battles of a movie this year. Definitely one of the best stories presented to you to constantly shift your opinion and empathy and apathy towards characters.
Yeah.
And probably the most sexiest Zendaya's ever been.
I think that the way that this story is told, it's really, really interesting, because it employs the use of flashbacks, but time jumps.
Yes.
We don't know exactly where we are. It can get a little bit confusing.
Let me tell you this, David. Indulge me for a second while I explain to you how this movie captured me within the opening few scenes.
Please.
So, we're with Zendaya and we're with her fair-haired boy toy.
Her fair-haired boy toy. It's been a couple of weeks now since we've seen this. Let's look up these guys' names. So
Mike Faist is the actor's
there's
name.
Art and Patrick. Art is her husband and Patrick is her ex-boyfriend, as it were.
That's an interesting way to put it. Okay, okay, so fair-haired boy, the good boy, the blonde-haired lad, Art. Well, we see that he's trying to rekindle his winning streak in the game of tennis, coached by his fairly demanded wife, Zendaya. And we understand why he goes back to play a challenger. Is that what they call it?
Yep.
To up his streak, to up his momentum, to up his game in the...
He's had a few bad losses, and now she's just said, I'm going to put you in this challenger, you're going to get an easy win, and you're just going to get your confidence back up. You can win these.
So we're understanding what it means for them, right? And they're living a good life. They're well off, you know. They can afford hotels as opposed to being put up in other places, you know. And they have their family together. It's all great. They're living somewhat of a successful life.
Oh yeah, they're doing ads for car companies, like
a lot of publicity.
Their own line of tennis rackets. All like they are well sorted. They're fine.
Yeah. Then we come and shift the story, and we meet Pat, all right, Josh O'Connor, who I know from The Crown, and we see his card's not paying for a room.
Complete opposite.
He's trying to bargain. Hey, I'm in this game tomorrow. You're automatically given some £100, and because I'm automatically giving it, I can just give it to you the following. Pretty much pleading, trying to bargain,
looking for an advance straight away,
just to get a bed because he needs a good night's sleep, and he's not getting that. And then we see him, poor lad, poor tall people, parks diagonally in a car park, and you just see him shift himself into the backseat of his rundown scrap of a yoke Jeep, and just try to make himself comfortable as best as possible, trying to sleep, and you just feel bad for the guy. And then he's woken up, he can't park here, I'm playing, and goes in, he gets signed in, he's staring at the reception, staring at our food, and he's just staring at it. You hungry? Show mercy, feed the guy, you know. Actually, really, and all this, right, showing his scenes on his own. I'm rooting for him. Yeah,
they endeared him to you. Absolutely,
I really feel for this guy, and I know that he's going, based on the traders, of course. You know, it's him who's going to be up against this other guy, Art. The underdog versus the rich guy. You know. And then, see who else is going to be coming here, and he turns over to see the picture of Zendaya and her fella, and that's when you cut to a flashback years, like 13 years, I think, to when the two guys are friends. What? Yeah. I'm sorry, what? They know each other? What's going on here? And then the movie continues, and they're at the party, they meet Zendaya, next scene, they have their threesome, on and so forth. And as the movie presented itself, you know, when, and I know I'm going to get ahead of myself just a little bit, but we can go back and forth.
Like the
movie. How Zendaya ends up going with Pat because he won against Art. How their relationship struggles. How Art, swiny little bastard, always on the hunt for Zendaya, tries to wiggle his way in to get his opportunity to be with her. And we keep jumping back and forth of the present and the past, and we see, whoa, hold on a sec, this guy Pat, who I was rooting the world for, is not that nice of a guy. He's not humble. He's too forward with his demands and what he wants. We know that a fight took place between the three of them, but we don't know what. You don't learn quickly just yet that, he was in a relationship with Zendaya, and we don't know the ramifications that led up to their breakup. But you know, whether you saw her scars or you saw the trailer, she does injure herself. Dirty little Art in there to pick up the pieces. And I like that he wasn't just there from the get-go, like a year had passed, and then that's when he came across Zendaya again. That's when they have their little date, and he asked her to coach, and then they kiss at the car park. And then we go back to when, I don't know if this was a flashback or where in the flashback or the chronological timeline this was, but when Pat and Zendaya meet at the hotel, and then they go off together while Art knows that they did. And then there's this next scene, which is just before the Challenger, just before the concluding battle between the two former friends, is when Zendaya asks Pat to forfeit the game and lose to allow Art to win, even though he's not feeling it, that he doesn't want to pursue the profession in tennis anymore. And Zendaya has the gall to demand Pat to forfeit the game, to throw the game, not to bargain with him. If you throw the game, I will coach you. She doesn't even offer that when I thought so. And then Pat, as the heated argument goes, Pat fucking grabs hands with her and bit physical for my liking, dude. I'm not agreeing with this. Mm-hmm. Get your hands off. And then in total, all these people just too toxic for each other.
Yeah.
If you pull one out and just don't mix with the other two anymore, great. Whether that be the two boys and the girl, whoever you want to take out, it'll be a great partnership. Mm-hmm. But the three of them together, too toxic, too stressful. And as I said, I needed you to indulge me in my little rant, because throughout the movie, I was completely shifting my focus and rooting towards everyone every now and then.
Yeah.
I was rooting for Zendaya for some points, but then I was rooting for Art at some points, then I was rooting for Pat at some points. And all it would take was someone being the villain of the scene to make me not root for them. Mm-hmm. So like how, remember that scene in the sauna where Pat goes into Art, and Pat goes in as the villain to sort of challenge him that you never bet me in a match, and then Art stands up and says, yeah, well, you're an afterthought to me, essentially is what he says, and then he leaves, and then now I feel bad for Pat.
Yeah, the perspective is changing throughout the film, which I think is really good, because it kind of also mirrors, then I think the film throughout mirrors a tennis match, because the focus shifts in the same way that a tennis match can, that you're rooting for one person, then all of a sudden, you know, the other person is coming back, and it'll just shift on who's kind of nearly winning the entire time, obviously. But you're right, the villain, you know, if we're going to say that, the antagonist or the antagonistic force is all three of them to each other.
Yeah.
Because at any point, like when we're but when we go to the first flashback and it's Art and Pat are playing together in a doubles match,
and they're friends,
and they are absolutely best friends, and then they're doing everything together, they're hanging out, and they are sharing a room together, everything. And it's when she comes into the picture, then that's when they start a little bit of a rift starts to begin between the two of them, because they're both interested. And then she comes into the picture and they start out on equal footing, and then once she then gives them the ultimatum of whoever wins gets my number, then obviously Pat wins and they start dating. And then all of a sudden it's Art who becomes the antagonist then, because he is kind of trying to worm his way. He hasn't lost any feelings for Tashi, for Zendaya's character. Yeah. So then he becomes the negative aspect, and he is the, like you said, the slimy character of, he's just waiting for his opportunity. He's taking the crumbs. He's whispering in Zendaya's ear.
And I'm not rooting
for that character at all.
I'm not rooting for him.
No.
But then, you know what? Remember that scene where, you know, already some rifts have started. But then when Pat and Art are sitting in the cafeteria eating those, what the fuck were
churros, yeah. They're nice. They're like cinnamony.
And see the way they both eat them differently. Pat munches on them, and Art picks it off piece by piece. What does that say? I don't know. But Pat leans a little bit too close into Art, saying, I like that you're jealous. You know, it's good for you. And suddenly, I'm not so much rooting against Art now.
Yeah.
Because Pat is being a bit of a sore winner.
Yeah. Absolutely. He's like, yeah, no, sure, you can fancy her all you want, but at the end of the day, she's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Do you know? And then it's not 2 scenes later, she hurts herself, and then there's Art, but not Pat, because Pat and Zendaya have had an argument. Yeah. And it's just a normal argument. It is one of those arguments where, yeah, it gets a little bit big, but you know, if she had just played her match, she would have come back and they would have made up and it would have been fine. But it's the fact that he wasn't there when she hurt herself, and guess who is there? Art.
Slimy bastard.
Slimy Art, who's there to pick up the pieces and wiggle his way in. And it's like he's playing the long game the entire time. And I think everybody knows someone like this. Someone that's in the friend zone, and someone that is just waiting for their opportunity to slide in. And he is the epitome of that. He's just awful. But then later in the film, when they're married, and Pat then is, like you said, he's kind of like the bad boy, like, oh yeah, she was my girlfriend first, all this. Yeah. Then you're kind of rooting for Art, even though... So the perspective does change on who you're rooting for throughout the film.
But even back then when she did break her leg, or what did she do?
Yeah, she broke her knee or something. Like tourney. I don't know exactly what
Good
it was,
on
but-
Luca for getting an insert shot of that happening as well. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
You see, she's hurt. She's angry. She tells him to get out.
And then, yeah.
You feel bad for Pat.
He's like, oh, please let me. And then
Art
switches.
He really took his advantage and just jumped in. He tells him to get out.
That, for me, is the end of their friendship.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because right then and there, it's the end of their friendship. But Art hasn't gotten with Tashi yet.
Yeah.
And it's...
Playing the long game.
He's playing the long game. And it's that moment that ends Pat and Art's relationship, even though it has nothing to do with either of them. It's something to do with Tashi altogether. Like, they haven't had an argument. They haven't had a fight.
Yeah.
It's just very much, no, I'm with her now. And, you know, from Art's perspective, he's saying, I'm with her now.
Yeah.
I'm supporting her. I'm not supporting you. Which is so interesting that, like, that she came between the two of them, but not intentionally at all. Like,
she did went in to have her little fun to see if she could prove something in the room.
Earlier on in the film, yeah.
with the threesome where come over here. She gets it into two of them, but she wasn't intending to have a threesome.
No,
she was having fun with it. Look, they're 19, they're young,
and even the scene before, you know, where Pat is very, very comfortable in his sexuality, and Art isn't. That's where she saw the fun in it. She was like, okay, I bet I can get these boys to do something that they're not expecting.
Especially when they're openly trying to get with her, and she's like,
I can take advantage of this, yeah.
Yeah. Like
and like that, she's only 17 at the time. Like, she's just having fun. She's just a kid.
Yeah.
You know, so she knows
and the fact that the two of them are so blinded by this lust to get with her that the books are shifting each other without realizing, and like she's just sitting back,
she's
smiling
loving
at
it.
it.
Yeah. And I love that in the trailer, that scene where she's sitting back and looking at, and you think it's going to be one thing, you think that's her, the beginning of the threesome, but it's not. She's watching the two guys shift each other, and you're like, it's a completely different. You know, you see it in the trailer, you think it's one thing and it's something completely different, and then guess what? She gets up and leaves. Like, that's the funny thing, is that even though this is, and you've seen it in the trailer, you've seen promotional images of the three of them kissing, or the two guys kissing her neck. They never at any point have a threesome.
No.
And that was what I thought, obviously, going into this was, you know, a movie about sex, that these guys, the three people had a threesome. She eventually ended up with one of them, and, you know, something was going to happen, but not that it was as simple as that she gave her number to one of them, they started dating, and then a natural break in the friendship, or not even a natural break, but a break eventually happened. But yeah, I like that, the way that they shift the antagonistic role, or not even the antagonistic role, but your perspective of who is the bad guy in the scene, you know.
Or who is the good guy.
Yeah, because that's the thing, is that it's not as simple as, life isn't that simple. You're not always going to be right in every situation.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go, oh no, you're a bit of a...
you're
wrong there.
Even in towards the end, not to get ahead of myself, I won't give away, but when he gives them the signal,
yes,
at the end, because we as the audience know what
we're waiting for it.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but there was 3 or 4 different scenes where I'm like, do the signal. I was like, please, because it's and he did. It's a spoiler conversation. We can talk about it. Like, they obviously, Pat and Tashi have slept together now after the fact, after she's married to
the day before they were having their challenger.
She kind of says, like, I'll sleep with you if you let him win, and he was like, I think he was at first, he was like, okay, then he was like, no,
I don't think she said, I'll sleep with you if you let him win. She wanted to be with him, she wanted to get with him. I think that she said that as an excuse to herself, because she did want to. That's why, like, whether it was an excuse to herself, regardless, she did sleep with him because she's so much fed up of her husband.
I felt there was no attraction to him at all. Well, not at all.
Art?
With Art, yeah, I felt like from the get-go, well, obviously, you know, when we're introduced, there is that lack of intimacy, there is that lack of attraction.
But the fact that they're married,
but, you know, like, there's early on in the film where he says that he loves her, and she's like, I know. And I was like, okay, from then on, like, if I said that to my partner, and she goes, I know, and if she's not making a Star Wars reference, which she probably isn't, I'm like, okay, there's something up. If I'm saying I love you to someone and they say, yeah, thanks, or yeah, I know, then I know something's up.
Well, then,
so I never felt there was any kind of sexual attraction at when we are introduced to them at that point.
You see, then it shows that if he gives up tennis in his life, something that she is involved by coaching because she can't play herself anymore.
Yeah.
Well, then that attraction is just going to dwindle tenfold.
The only reason then they are together is for their child, and even that's not a strong reason. The child is a very much an afterthought.
Yeah.
It's the child is there, but it's looked after by her mother the entire time. Do you want to jump into some flashbacks?
Yeah.
Oh, we fired Laura.
Hold on a sec.
Get her back.
Sorry, I got it back here. Yeah, just sitting in the corner. Sorry. Alright, Laura. Just...
Laura, play that jingle for us. Thank you, Laura. So, flashbacks for challengers. We have flashback number 1. Austin Butler and Timothée Chalamet were considered for the role of Art Donaldson before Mike Faist was cast.
Did you ask yourself, who the hell is that guy, Mike Faist? Do I know him from anything? He was in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story.
Which I have not seen.
Come again?
I haven't seen West Side Story, unfortunately. It's one of those ones I do want to watch, but I want to watch the original first and then watch it. But I just haven't gotten around to either of them. But I'm looking forward to both of them.
He was the friend to Ansel Elgort.
If you say so. I haven't seen it, so
I know so. Oh no, I know so. I had to look it up. But Josh O'Connor I knew.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I liked how different they were aesthetically, Josh O'Connor and Mike Faist. And I think that this was the right choice because Austin Butler wouldn't have fit that character. Not the way that Mike Faist played it.
Austin Butler definitely would have suited more to Pat.
Yeah, and the same with Timothée Chalamet.
I think Timothy could have gone to either or because if you're not gonna just refer to his other roles in the likes of Lady Bird or Little Women or almost anything else, you know he's capable of it. You know Timothée Chalamet is capable of it. However, look, I'm happy that we're giving some limelight to the likes of some actors that not everyone is well known, and these are the good roles to do it. Like, make some room.
Absolutely, yeah. I think so. I much rathered that the only person I knew going into this was Zendaya. And then these other two guys, I'm now looking forward to seeing what they do next. I'd be looking for their next thing because I know you knew Josh O'Connor from The Crown. I didn't know him from anything. I'd seen the scene where he is talking to Diana and he's like, Camilla is who I want. But I've only seen that scene from The Crown, really.
You know what? This movie really showed how good of actors they both are, really. Like, honestly. Like, I knew Josh O'Connor was going to be something good because of the Emmy nods he received. But Mike Faist really was good. He really was good.
Flashback number 2. Did you know that this is the third in a trilogy of tennis movies? So, all 3 actresses who have played the main love interests for Spider-Man in the different franchises have appeared as professional tennis players in tennis movies. Kirsten Dunst appeared in Wimbledon in 2004, Emma Stone appeared in Battle of the Sexes in 2017, and Zendaya has appeared in Challengers in 2024. I thought that was just very funny. I think that's a really...
That's a fun bit of trivia.
It is. It's one of those things where it's like, huh... Yeah, that is a strange pattern to see. I don't know if it crosses the line from forcing a connection or if it just about fits. No, I think it doesn't force a connection. I think it just fits.
Like the fact that do you have to reach out far to grab the string and connect it to the source?
No, I think that's a real easy. Because how many women have played Spider-Man's girlfriend? 3. Like, it's not like you're... Well, actually, if we get this one over here, it's very much... There's been 3 live action love interests, and there's been... I mean, how many tennis movies are there? Not very many, anyway. Especially female-led ones. So, I think it's a fun connection that's not very... far for each other.
I never saw Wimbledon.
It's the only one I haven't seen either, Wimbledon. So I'm hoping that our friends at Another Happy Pod, Lawrence and Nathan, do Wimbledon, because I know that Nathan is a big fan of that. So hopefully we'll hear it on that. And then flash fact number 3. Though the tennis match in the modern day takes place in one afternoon, it is filmed across 3 weeks at all times of day in full sun and under clouds, with temperatures ranging from 40 to 90 degrees.
So they didn't throw water over them to make it look like they're sweating?
I mean, I maybe they did for Mike Faist, because that man was absolutely drenched in sweat. It was like at the end of the movie, at the last couple of scenes, I turned to Laura and I was like, this guy is really sweaty. There's no way that this is all him, because if it is, he needs to go to the doctor right now. I don't know about you, but it was like they had a hose over him. He was drenched in sweat.
I got a little flashback too.
Go for it, man. You got a flashback? Rare Brian flashback.
This is one of 4 movies that released a trailer in 2023 for a 2023 release that was pushed into 2024, but still had a trailer released. One was Dune Part 2.
Also with Zendaya?
Also with Zendaya. One was with Kraven the Hunter, another connection to Spider-Man.
Yeah, okay.
And another one was a fucking shit god-awful movie, Drive Away Dolls.
Drive Away Dolls, let me think, any connections there? Pedro Pascal was in that, and he's going to be Mr. Fantastic in the MCU. That also connects to Spider-Man. Whoa. Okay, we did it. I stretched just like Mr. Fantastic does. We made the connection. We did it. That is good. Yeah, only 4 movies that had released trailers that were affected by the actor strike.
That were
pushed to 24.
Exactly, which is interesting, because did this movie warrant to receive a marketing campaign with the actors marketed it?
I think so. I think I actually really enjoyed some of the marketing for this, because I quite liked I just like seeing attractive people in like nice locations, in nice outfits and stuff like that, in nice costumes. Not even costumes, but just
even when they get paid for it.
Even when they get paid for it. And I liked that. I don't know if you saw it, but there was an interview with Zendaya. Well, all 3 of them, but Zendaya was asked the question. She goes, "Have you noticed that you've been getting a lot of questions about kissing your friends, kissing the other actors?" She goes, "I have noticed that. What is that about?" And she just kind of like talked about how it's really weird that for some reason even though she's friends with her male co-stars, that being Mike Faist, Josh O'Connor, and then Timothée Chalamet in Dune, she's just been getting a lot of questions about like kissing her friends. And it's like, this is what being an actor is. So I just like that she was able to kind of have that platform then to question. It's like, why is this? It's like the equivalent of, do you remember in the early 2010s and stuff like that, there was a lot of like with female superheroes like Scarlett Johansson, there was a lot of questions about like her workout and like getting into the costumes and stuff like that, just like really weird questions that you would only ask. It was with Scarlett Johansson and Anne Hathaway when she was playing Catwoman,
asking her about the fucking suit that they're wearing.
It's like weird questions that they only ask because they're women. It's like you wouldn't ask this to the other guys. You wouldn't ask this to Chris Evans playing Captain America.
Men are horrible.
Bad interviewers. But if you need us to interview anyone for your movie, we definitely won't ask silly and weird questions. Laura, play us out of here. Something else then I wanted to talk about in this film is the music. Throughout the film, this has probably one of the best scores I've heard for a film. It's one where I'm not really a big music guy. I'm not really a big music guy. You know that about me. I'm not really big into music, stuff like that. But the days after seeing this film, I couldn't stop thinking about the soundtrack. So much so that I was cleaning the house and I put the soundtrack on. I was like, I'm going to put this on and I'm going to clean the house. Like, I just felt like it was great, like working music, you know? And it was layered throughout the film, and it would just come in at like such random times where I'm like, really? Like, because I think it started, especially in the sauna scene. Yeah. There was the music, because it's like techno. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, that's how I put it. Like techno. Do you have any other way to describe
techno, I would call it. Not necessarily dubstep, techno.
Techno trance music.
Trance, yeah.
And it would come in, and I'm like, really? Here? But like, then as soon as it would start, I'd be like, yeah, go on.
Like, remember the scene where Zendaya is having a fight with Pat? Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, it just starts kicking into it, and it starts playing over a level where the actors are delivering their dialogue, and you have to, if you're going to start whispering to your person next to you, you're gonna miss out of it. I don't know if this was a similar thing in other Luca Guadagnino's movies, where whether it would be background noise or music in this case, that would be as loud as it would be in, let's say, real life or reality. You're not going to dilute that and muff it out. Also, we can do what Christopher Nolan doesn't want to do and hear what the actors are saying. Look, I'm not going to question a director's decision on something within their style or art, especially when you agree with it. I agreed with the use of the music in this movie. I was on board for it. I've already had my rant on how the movie, as presented in out of order, non-chronological order, really captured my attention.
It really made you pay attention in terms of, okay, where are we? Do you know?
Yeah.
Even though the little interstitials would say, like, 7 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 days before the match.
It wouldn't always say 7 years before the match, 3 years before the match.
Like, the match was the
pinnacle point. Yes. And even to the point of hours before the match. We're really playing catch up to there. I didn't drink the water, David.
That's a good sign. When Brian goes to the cinema, he usually gets maybe some popcorn sometimes, and you get a bottle of water. If the bottle of water is not touched, that's a good movie. Brian didn't even think about drinking.
I think this might be my favourite movie from Luca.
Let me just look at his filmography now. I agree. I only saw Bones and All this year. I've seen, obviously, Call Me By Your Name and Suspiria, but Challengers is probably my favourite as well.
I compare Challengers to Luca in a similar way how I compare Poor Things to Yorgos Lanthimos.
In that
I am paying attention to these guys henceforth.
Oh, okay, yeah, they changed with these films.
Yeah,
they changed your opinion on them.
I liked Call Me By Your Name, but it didn't live up to the hype I was led to believe. And then Bones and All was the next one I saw. I never saw Suspiria. I don't think it was something I don't like the look of the poster. It looks disturbing.
It is.
Is it?
It's intentionally. That's what the original one was as well, though. It's horror, like.
Is it? Alright, well then, fuck that. So, Bones and All I watched, and while I do appreciate somewhat intriguing performance from Mark Rylance, wasn't all that great. Challengers, yeah, definitely his best movie in my opinion. And I thought the same thing for Yorgos Lanthimos. I saw The Lobster. It was an interesting idea. I saw... What else did I see of his? I saw Killing of a Sacred Deer. Another interesting idea, but not one I see myself watching again. Regardless of how good or how good the actors were. And The Favourite, I might sit down now one day to watch, since Poor Things really opened my mind to his work. So, there you go.
Yeah, that's listen, that's good. Anytime a director can provide you with a piece of art that you really enjoy and connect with, and you go, okay, now you have my attention. Now I'm going to support you going forward.
Yeah,
because like that, you weren't too keen on some of his other stuff. You did watched it and liked it.
Yeah,
but you weren't like that with the saying that you didn't have it on your most anticipated list.
Yeah.
When he comes out with his next film, will that be one now that you'll anticipate because of how much you like Challengers?
Well, it just depends on what the story is. It depends what the story is, of course. It has to depend on what the story is. Here's an example in terms of Yorgos Lanthimos.
Kinds of Kindness.
I realise he shot this after Poor Things, and he's got a great cast in it, and a teaser of under a minute was released, and you don't know what's happening. If you want to find out what it is, you have to go search it yourself. And as a result of Poor Things, I just added it to my watch list, and it's something I'm keeping an eye out for. I've no idea what it's about.
I'm intentionally going into that not wanting to know anything.
It's a good experiment, and that's what Poor Things did for me for Yorgos Lanthimos stuff. Like the fact that I could have been okay with him winning an Oscar for directing that year
over Christopher Nolan winning it.
Exactly. The fact that a movie like that from someone like him can change my opinion and open my mind, as famously on this podcast. This is a near repeated performance for challengers. I can't say that, Zendaya is the best character I've seen in forever, but how Emma Stone, Jesus, Emma Stone was, but yeah, that's how good challengers was for me, that I will be paying attention to what Luca is going to do next. And I just want to quickly go through what I had said on my review, and I think we've covered everything here. Establish the expectations, which is telling us the opening with Zendaya and art, to then subvert them with juxtaposing Pat's position and how he's not some sub-story guy that you want to root for. They know each other. There's history here. They've got beef. And then you implement foreshadowing throughout the movie. Remember the signal that he does when he hits the...
It's one of those foreshadowing things where it's introduced, and then when you realise later on, it's like, oh, he's thinking about it, and you're like, come on, please. You're like hoping for it, and then it's like, it's not as simple as foreshadowing. It's like, and you're hoping for it again.
And the way he makes his move, he does the ball, throws the ball, and Art is just, he doesn't even react.
Can't believe it.
He doesn't react. He doesn't aim. He's completely taken out of the game. And then there's Pat just going, nodding his head with his big smile on his face. Yep. Throwing him off his game. What a cunt. and then
sorry,
and then the movie, as we said, just ebbed and flowed from apathy to empathy to all the characters, and the final score, David, match point.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
it's unbelievable. It's such a good soundtrack. I'd highly recommend, even if you
even just listen to Match Point.
Just when you're washing the dishes, just wash the dishes and listen to Match Point. You'll have them done in 30 seconds, honestly.
Magnetic. And of course, I you know what? Remember that scene with threesome, the so-called threesome? I actually really liked the dialogue between them leading up to it. That whole scene I really liked. Just them talking, because that's where you really get to know the characters.
I really did think that they, as characters, were good. They had an established friendship, and I believed it. And I just liked all of the characters, even though we talked about how they were all bad for each other and they were all antagonistic in their own ways. I still liked all three characters for different reasons. And
the biggest praise is the story and how it was told
and how it unfolded.
Because absolutely. How else do you tell a story better than this one was told right here?
I liked the fact that the final match was nearly kind of presented in a way that it was like that this was a real match. And it's almost like, biopics and stuff like that will always be cutting back to the final show or the main match or something like that.
Whether it be a performance singing or a final sports play or something. There's always it's always got to end in a big thing, showdown. This is not a biopic, but
I felt as though it was nearly presented in that way, of that it is like, this is the most important match of their careers. And in other aspects, in other movies, it would be the US Open, the final of that. But no, this is just a challenger. It's just, this is where Pat is probably going to get the highest, and this is where Art is at his lowest. They've met again. And one last thing then, just before we wrap it up, I wanted to point out was some of the cinematography. I thought some of the cinematography in this film was absolutely stunning, especially with the inventiveness of that final match. Specifically, there was the shot where it went under the match, under the court,
under the ground, and he bounces the ball 4 times. By the way, every time someone bounces the ball 4 times, tension. It's just build up, just all suspense.
Then there was the POV shots where you are kind of panning.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Where you are the ball. How did he shoot that? How the hell did he shoot that?
It was, I don't know, and that's the thing, is like, when you have to show a tennis match, realistically, there's only so many ways you can shoot it. So Luca said, well, if there's only so many ways we could shoot it, let's just shoot it in every way possible. And I think that really just opened the door to, okay, who has an idea? Let's just do whatever. And it made it really, really visually interesting. And then the last point I want to make, there was one shot where we are behind Tashi, and it's kind of after he's revealed that they've slept together. It's in that last 5 minutes, and Art is on one side of the court and Pat is on the other, and it's Tashi in the middle, and it's just the two guys on either side. And I genuinely was, even though I knew everything that was on screen, my eyes were darting back and forth between Pat and Art, and Zendaya in the middle, like she was like the net. And the two of them, I was like, oh my god, my eyes are genuinely like, this is like watching a tennis match. And I have to applaud him for that. Like, creating a film about tennis and using the cinematography in a way that mirrored a tennis match was just incredible. That I was literally like back and forth between Pat and Art because I didn't want to miss a thing, and it was like I was looking back and forth between a tennis match. So I have to applaud him on that.
Luca made tennis look real good.
He did, yeah.
And the fact that you can pinpoint Zendaya from when you first see her sitting in the chair, she's just sitting back, leaning back, to then sitting forward, clenching her hands.
Those scenes
focused on it.
Those scenes where she's not the focus, and she still stole the scenes. Like, I don't know about you, but I genuinely think and hope that she'll be nominated next year's Oscars for this role. I think that it's a great performance. I know it's very early to say that.
Yeah, no, I suppose I'm trying to compare her performance to something else that you can say could warrant her a nom, but didn't get any buzz. Elton John's Rocket Man.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Absolutely. That's one of those ones where I'm still hurt that Taron Egerton wasn't nominated for that because he should have won that. If Rami Malek can win for Freddie Mercury, that performance, then Taron Egerton was robbed, because that is by far and away a better performance of a musical icon.
I think it's just in general, everyone, I think it's more, you're a better person if you like Rocket Man and Elton John and Taron Egerton playing Elton John more than anything to do with Bohemian Rhapsody 2018.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, Challengers, good.
Who was your favourite?
Zendaya, always.
Or well, then between the two guys, who did you like more, or who did you hate more, or who was...
No, Josh O'Connor. I just really like Josh O'Connor. I think of the two of them...
Pat,
yeah. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing more of what he's in.
What about the characters? Art and Pat.
I liked Pat more, because I just did feel like I couldn't get past the sliminess of Art.
Even though he's portrayed to be the profile good boy.
Yeah, but his tactics just were... I just didn't like him.
He was calculated. He was the smart
Yeah,
one.
he's just biding his time, and the friendship that he has, and I say friendship in inverted commas here now, it's like friendship.
Yeah.
It's not. It's ulterior motives, and I'm going to cultivate this friendship in the hopes that they break up, and then I can finally get my chance with her. Yeah. And it's just... And
not to say...
It just means that if she never was if she had never expressed any interest in him, would he have stayed her friend? No, he wouldn't have.
And that doesn't say that Pat is the sweet, humble, harmless guy. Pat's an asshole. He's a dick.
Can't take criticism.
No.
That was what led to their breakup, was he can't take any criticism. But I liked then the fact that the reason they broke up is the reason they got back together as well. He couldn't take the criticism, but then when years later, before the Challenger, he says, I want you to be my coach, because he's realised he's grown up. He's realised, oh no, I can be better with her.
And I thought that's how the movie was going to end, that Pat was going to throw the game, or whatever way it was going to go, whether Art would win, but Zendaya would still coach Pat. Come to think of it, who did win?
I don't know. I think we all won. But the actual match itself...
Don't be gay. Who won?
I don't know. That's the thing, right? Okay, that's the thing.
Did Art win? Because he rose above the net and he hit the ball.
But do you get disqualified if you go over the net? That's my question. Now, I'll tell you this, right? The screening I went to, I don't know if it was the same for you, but the framing was wrong, because there were certain scenes where tops of heads were cut off.
Yeah.
And then as well as that, at the bottom when it was showing the score, I never saw the full score. So I didn't know what was going on in terms of the game. But it didn't matter. But don't know who won the game. I
They
think
still hugged it out in the end like the good bros. The moral and core and the takeaway of the movie is don't let women come between your friendship. And men are still toxic bastards.
yeah. If we could say one thing, it's bros before hoes. Simple as.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Unless it's Zendaya.
Yeah.
Have you got a recommendation for us before we let these people go?
I do, but I forget.
Oh, no.
Can you go first?
I can go first. My recommendation is Doctor Who. Doctor Who is back on our screens. It's back. They had the first 2 episodes released there on Saturday, and then they're going to be a new episode now for the next couple of weeks on Saturdays.
Yeah, it's on the calendar.
It's on the calendar, yeah. I put it on the calendar because I wanted to remind myself. I was like, oh, Doctor Who's coming out.
Did you watch it?
I did, yeah. I watched the first 2 episodes.
Did you like him?
I liked...
Speak your mind, David.
Speak my mind.
It's a safe space.
I enjoyed Ncuti Gatwa's performance and Millie Gibson's performance as the Doctor and Ruby Sunday, the companion.
The female.
His female assistant. I enjoyed both of them. The first story I've seen a lot of hate online about because it's very on the nose. It's not very subtle or anything. I still enjoyed it. I liked what it was. The second episode has gotten a lot more love online. However, I didn't like it as much. And without going into spoilers or anything like that, I think I would have enjoyed it more had it been placed later in the season. Because the villain that he goes up against is very much a kind of a mythological, like, god and very all powerful. Oh my god, I can't. There's no way to defeat you. You're impossible.
Supernatural or alien or
supernatural,
monster?
kind
supernatural,
of.
Right.
So it was just too early on in the season in terms of it's his second episode. So it's just he didn't have much of an enemy to fight in the first one, and then the second one, it's very much him almost like I can't defeat this person. I would just would have rather see a few more episodes of him showing how capable he is as the Doctor, and then running into this person, and then it's I can't defeat you, because then it also adds a bit more weight to that person because we've seen how capable this Doctor is.
I get you.
So, but I am looking forward to episodes going forward and stuff like that. Just seeing more of Ncudi's performance as the Doctor and Millie as Ruby.
History making here, David, with the first Black Doctor.
First black male numbered Doctor. It's
numbered?
Yeah, it's confusing.
Numbered? What?
Well, the Doctor, like, they have regenerations, and, you know, like, they refer to as, like, you know, 1 through 15.
Oh, right.
But it's a little bit to go into. But there was, a couple of years ago, we found out that the Doctor has had infinite number of regenerations. And
because I do know that John Hurt was one, but never had his own show.
Yeah, so he was kind of an introduction for the 50th.
So does he count?
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
But we found out that the Doctor had kind of infinite number of regenerations, and we were introduced to Jo Martin, who was the first female Black Doctor.
Oh.
But she wasn't a numbered incarnation. She's not like an official from the start of the show. We're getting too far into it now of nerdy topics.
Okay. Interesting.
But have you got a recommendation for us now before we let these people go?
Yeah, people should watch Battle of the Sexes.
Battle of the Sexes. I like Battle of the Sexes. Yeah, that's the Emma Stone led tennis movie.
Yeah,
with Steve Carell.
I have a lot to say on Steve Carell as an actor. Proposal on a bonus episode down the line, but
put it in the calendar.
Yeah, I really liked that movie, and true story. And I thought Emma Stone looked great under her.
What was her character's name? Billie something.
Billie Jean.
Billie Jean. Yeah.
Yeah, and she looked great in the hair, and like she almost, you know, it's her, but you know it definitely does not look like her in real life. And it was a good story. I liked the movie. It was great. Can I recommend something else?
Yep. Wimbledon 2004.
No. I saw Let It Be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was I saw the trailer for it, and I was like, okay, that's good that they're finally releasing the actual movie.
Yeah, the movie that was released back in the 1979, I think what it's in the 70s. Essentially the movie that was released based on the footage that was filmed. Under 90 minutes of 56 hours. I'm not going to recommend Let It Be. I said I watched it, but I'm not recommending that. I'm recommending Get Back. Because when I watched Let It Be, I think in the first half an hour, you just see Paul and Ringo going 90 on the piano, and I thought, wow, I want to watch Get Back.
Yeah, it's just more. Get Back is just more.
Especially, whether you're a Beatles fan or not. Okay, no, sorry. If you're a Beatles fan, more is better.
Yeah, you want to see those interactions.
Yes, but essentially as a non-Beatles fan, but you know, it doesn't mean you have to say you can't not like their music. You can like some of their songs, but you watch the 3 episodes of Get Back, you can appreciate them as movies on their own right, episodic movies, no doubt. But yeah, I am recommending Get Back, and I'll probably recommend it again, down the line, because it's my favourite Beatles documentary ever, and it's probably my favourite documentary ever.
Awesome.
So just giving 2 recommendations there. I have a third recommendation, David, but
Brian, we've got to let these people go.
I might save that for the next one.
Save it for the next one, please. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Talking Pictures. We really appreciate it. Make sure that you are subscribed to us on all of the social medias. Make sure that you are following us to never miss an episode. We release new episodes every single Wednesday. We release a bonus episode every other weekend. So last weekend we had our favourite Batman villains as a bonus episode. So nothing this week, but make sure to check back again next week. Like I said, follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. We post on there every time we release an episode. So to make sure that you're not missing any episodes, just make sure to follow us.
Don't forget we're on LinkedIn as well.
We're on LinkedIn, yeah.
LinkedIn's actually a pretty good app.
Yeah, if you're looking for a job, then contact us on there. And we need a new editor because Laura is fired between episodes. So if you can, give us 5 stars because it helps us get out there. Make sure that you recommend to a friend. Why not? You know, tell a friend. If you're talking about podcasts, oh yeah, I listened to this one. It's pretty good. 2 guys. So yeah, just make sure that you never miss a beat. And thanks again for listening. Brian, any final words?
No.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks.